Hey guys, Will here. Last time, we talked about the top 5 best raids in WoW. Today, we're going to be a little more critical, and instead look at the worst raids the World of Warcraft has to offer. Once again, this is just my opinion, so feel free to disagree and share your own thoughts. Number 5. Throne of the Four Winds. While Tier 11 was fairly well received overall, it's clear that Throne of the Four Winds was the weakest of the 3 instances. Both of the encounters were quite unique and innovative, but the raid felt unfinished. I believe this is the only raid since vanilla with no voice acting. The loot was somewhat randomized, and there was very little new artwork. Compared to Naxxramas, the elemental Lord of Air was handled quite poorly, and that's why this raid makes the list. Level 80 Naxxramas. Naxxramas was considered to be the pinnacle of 40-man content, and the capstone to vanilla raiding. Only 1% of players ever set foot in the instance while it was relevant, and it remained difficult to clear even at level 70. It's unfortunate that the place was reused in the first year of Wrath of the Lich King. The old vanilla models and boss encounters just didn't hold up when scaled to level 80, and although it was new to most players, it still felt like a rehash and was very disappointing. As the most difficult raid in classic WoW, it was disheartening to find out that the level 80 version was cleared within 48 hours by raiders still using gear from Sunwell Plateau. Number 3. The Battle for Mount Hyjal. Hyjal was a very lore-focused raid, centering around the events of Warcraft 3. Because this was during the Burning Crusade, we never really found out why we were there, but if the raid was fun, it wouldn't have mattered. Unfortunately, it wasn't very enjoyable. Waiting on large trash packs to come to you felt counterintuitive compared to other raids, where the players advanced through the instance. Most of the bosses were less interesting and easier than the ones in Tempest Keep or Serpent Shrine, and none of them had unique models. As the final boss of Warcraft 3, Archimonde deserved a much better ending than this when he was finally put into WoW, and that's why this raid is number 3. Number 2. Dragon Soul. Coming off of Tier 11 in Firelands, Cataclysm raiding felt pretty solid, although lacking some bosses. Dragon Soul is a large part of why the expansion is remembered so poorly. A final tier with only 8 boss encounters was a recipe for disaster. Reused models, environments, lots of teleportation, uninteresting boss mechanics, along with lasting for 10 months, are just some of the reasons that Dragon Soul is reviled by the player base. None of the bosses except for Deathwing had ever been mentioned in previous lore, and so no one felt any connection while downing, say, Hagara or Warmaster Blackhorn. The 3 dungeons in patch 4.3 that came with Dragon Soul are said to have taken bosses away from the raid, and while that may be true, it doesn't excuse the utter failure that Dragon Soul ended up being. Number 1. Trial of the Crusader. At the time of Trial of the Crusader, Blizzard was in a tough spot. Ulduar was complete, but Icecrown was going to take a long time to finish. Instead of letting the best raid they had ever made sit for a little while, they decided to rush out Trial of the Crusader. A 5-boss raid instance with only 2 rooms and no trash, it was met with incredible hatred almost immediately. Although the boss encounters themselves were actually pretty good, the lack of new environments along with ham-fisted plot elements made the raid feel pointless. While the tier sets looking different for the Alliance and the Horde was a nice touch, all of the armor types shared the same look, meaning there was actually less art overall. About the only thing the raid did right was bring back Anubarak, who had been unceremoniously killed off in a 5-man dungeon in the first tier. And those were the top 5 worst raids in WoW. Now, I left out any of the 1-boss raids like Magtheridon's Lair, because I felt it wasn't really fair to pick on those. So what do you guys think? Did I miss any? Did I choose the wrong ones? I'd like to hear your thoughts on the worst raids or the best raids in WoW. Anyway, that's all from me for now, so I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.